On this episode of Fitness Junkeez, this is Giovanni, and I'm here with Jessica Evil Eye. She's going to show us some really cool stuff, core workouts that she does here at UFC Fit Silverado.
So from here, I'm able to engage my core, but also pull the kettlebell back properly. I clean it up. We're using the same exercise we just did, and I press it above my head. I'm going to do 10 each hand cross touches. I'm able to engage my core, learning how to disproportion my weight. I'm gonna get a slight RDL in my legs and pull the bar up. So every single time I square up this way.
And I'm going good. I can't even keep straight. Enjoy the show. What's up, Fit Fam? This is Giovanni of Gio's Logic and your host of Fitness Junkeez. Today we have got a really exciting show, and the main topic is believe. But before we get there, I want to say I'm really happy that you're all here because I hope that this video meets you in good health and spirits. And if not, I hope the show inspires you to do something about it. Today's guest exemplifies the word believe, and that is UFC's fighter, Jessica I. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me this morning.
Good, good. And my fitness expert is Brad Feinberg. Brad, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. So, Jessica, I did a little research yesterday about you and went on a little down the rabbit hole, but I didn't get really your journey. And we talked about it the other day, but you talked about this fitness first or fighting first, and I just want to kind of, in the audience, hopefully get to know you a little bit better. How did you get to here today?
I feel like fighting, professional fighting, I feel like we're a breed that's born. I feel like it's something that you have inside of you, and it's a sense of drive and a sense of self-belief that is just so empowering that, we choose a sport where we inflict ourselves on others. So I've that's always kind of been inside of me, but it wasn't until actually I graduated from high school and when I realized sports weren't like, something that was offered so regularly that I had to find fitness. And, I signed up and went to school at Akron University, and I tried out for the soccer team. They had an open tryout, and I wasn't in shape. I was like, I didn't realize that nobody was coaching me to be in shape. So I wanted to find my own fitness journey. So that's actually what I started doing first is I started working out on my own, finding myself in a gym room all by myself. And then just so happened, I had found out that, fighting was actually a profession that people could, make a life of.
Right.
And, that the fighting kind of has, like I said, always been inside of me, but the fitness journey, didn't come natural. I was, a Midwest woman who was raised by, my father and my brothers. So being tough was always there, but we never, we didn't work out as a family, but, hay bales and raking leaves, mowing grass, like being able to be functional was something that, came natural to me.
And was it a younger brother or older brother?
Both.
Both. So you fought both ways, yes. Down and up.
Yes. Well, it's actually funny because my little brother is not so little anymore. So he's like 200 pounds and he's a lot bigger than me. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it was always that constant battle with all of us. I was very athletically driven, whereas my brothers were just like kind of considered to, be men, like they had to be strong. So here I am like just wanting to keep up and be as strong as them mentally that physically I could do a lot of these things that it wasn't until I started to come up with like a tag believe, like I believe I can do anything. I can believe I can set myself up for success if I put myself in the correct lane. So, that's kind of where my belief of myself of being able to do anything I wanted to do in life. You just have to learn it and try to adapt to, whatever it is. And you have to put effort, fitness is an effort.
Yeah, 100%. Now, it's like, I would say I'm a layman as far as a fighting fan. Like I don't know it well, but I'm a big UFC fan. But did you have the kind of childhood where you were in fights at school with people? Or was it that kind of in you?
No, unfortunately. I wish I was like that. Like I had that story where like, man, I was just beating people up all the time. You know what I mean? Like I was in school. I was actually the complete opposite. I was never a bully. I always kind of stuck up for the person that was always being bullied. I didn't like that. Unfortunately, my father dealt with some demons in himself. As just a young man and being a young father and then being a single father. And, I was his only daughter. So, him being kind of, what do we call them nowadays? Just a bad boy. He was a bad boy. And unfortunately, I don't think he knew how to until later years to actually be a father to a woman, So like I said, the fighting thing was kind of put into me at a young age to just be that like tough person. So unfortunately, I did deal with a lot of child abuse and a lot of mental abuse. And, rest in peace, my father. He is now dead. And those baggages are far behind me now. Awesome. And that's kind of where, it really came from. I hated people who fought for free. You know what I mean? Just to beat someone up. Like there's so many other ways to go about things.
I love it. I love it. Brad, tell us a little bit about your fitness journey here in Las Vegas.
Sure.
And how you ended up working with these world-class athletes like Jessica.
Yeah. I moved here to Vegas about 4 or 5 years ago just to start a new life. Grew up on the East Coast in Philly. And the mindset on the East Coast is more just low and slow. So people really didn't mind being too much out of shape. Not that they were all fat and just not caring. It's just you could tell the mindset out here is just totally different. It's like, you're working with, even in the service industry, it's all about performance in a sense. So I was like, I want a new life coming to Vegas. I want to pursue this fitness journey that much more because I really couldn't, or it was that much harder on the East Coast. So getting out here, just everyone that I got connected with, it was like people would rather give up a car payment than a personal training payment every month. So I was like, this is amazing. Like my job security out here is just, I'm good to go. And then through that, I was connected with a lot of great people that really helped me grow myself and my business. And then going through, what happened the past year with, I don't know if we're allowed to say, the C word on there, but whatever it is.
We'll get banned.
Exactly. But, that really, just like the rest of the world, just had me really look at things in a different way. And I wanted to get back into the corporate backing of fitness. Like you can't deny the power of those 3 letters, UFC. And UFC Fit was born just a couple months ago. And so when I was kind of looking like what's available, I saw UFC Fit pop up and I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, I know UFC gyms, but UFC Fits was just brand new to me. So I really kind of researched and them, really saying we empower the fighting spirit in you. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then all about like hashtag train different. I was like, I'm sold. So really when I look at how I got into UFC Fit, it was just really our visions aligned in the same way, and they want to heal the world through fitness. And when you look at fighters, you can't deny that they're some of the best athletes in the world. They are, like, undeniable. They need every aspect, every modality of fitness, and we may not get the general person ready for the ring, but we're going to have you fight better in life. And that's really
mentally too.
Exactly.
Mentally and physically, that connection together.
Absolutely. And one of our pillars is discipline. And when you're looking fighting, like you need the most amount of discipline, not just with yourself, but it's like for the other opponent too. And so it's all about using those modalities and applying that to the everyday person.
It's self-discipline, like you said, like we, as fighters and as people, working out is a choice. Mm-hmm. Like in the UFC as us fighters, like if we don't go to practice, we don't get fined. Like we don't get fined like NBA or NFL people, so it's discipline. It's a matter of having that and being like, I'm going to do this because it's better for me and it's better for the people around me.
Mm. Yeah, I believe discipline is freedom. It frees you up to do all the things that you want to do.
Absolutely.
For a lot of people, it's a 4-letter word.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, not just that, but it's like as humans, we're mentally weak. Like when it comes down to it, it's so easy to say no to ourselves. And, with looking at, for instance, with like Jessica's training and what she's doing, it's like she could very easily say no, but, she has developed the discipline, and not just her, but all the fight, developing the discipline to do like she said, it's not easy. Like you still have to do the work. Just because we believe in something, which is obviously the start of it, like all great things come from an idea, and that is the heart of it, but there's also the work that goes into it. And it's very easy to say no to that. Mm-hmm. So this is like teaching people like how to just suck it up and do it. So
why were you drawn to UFC Fit? Probably some of the same reasons.
Yeah, I love fitness. So and I love helping people find that in themselves. And again, it's different for everybody. And maybe it is you just walk on the treadmill every day. And if you're going to walk on that treadmill, we might stick a kettlebell in your hand, and we're going to find a way to make that. If that's all that you want to do, let's make it challenging to you, in that way. So when I met Adam Sedlick, the UFC gym president, I was in Singapore. I was fighting Jesse Jess. It was my second fight returning to flyweight, and I was doing an interview, and he was just like at the end of the interview, and again, I didn't know Adam, and I knew what UFC gym was, how it had started. It originally had started from football. You have Dallas Fit, and basically that guy came to Dana and was like, hey, we need UFC gyms everywhere. So UFC gym is still different than UFC Fit. The colorings are different. There's still two different models of fitness in that way. So at that, he was like, Jess, he had never met me in person. So he was like, why don't you have your own UFC gym? And I was like, nobody gave me one. Why, you got one for me? So he was like, you have such, electrifying personality, and I could tell that you genuinely care for people and you want to see others do better, because that's what I thrive on. Like I have to, people around me, if their personal success is better, then my personal success is better. So being in a fitness center and stuff like that, or UFC Fit, it inspires them because I'm there, and I'm inspired because they're there. So at any rate, we started going back and forth, and I was actually still living in Ohio. I moved to Las Vegas 2 years ago. I left my old team to come pursue the UFC Performance Institute just because of so many things, the medical knowledge. And in that time, I was dealing with some health issues. I ended up losing my gallbladder. So I knew that I needed to make the switch. So originally, right before I left, me and Adam had started working with a UFC gym in Middleburg, right outside the Browns training facility. And then, I ended up leaving, and we were still working like, hey, let's make sure we keep this still as a Jessica I UFC, Middleburg gym with you and the owner. And then the C word happened. And everything started to change, and so much of the model changed. So UFC gym was franchised. UFC Fits are not franchised. These are corporate owned, a corporate owned company. Whereas the UFC gym was like, hey, I'm an MMA, guy. I want to have an MMA team. I'm going to franchise out the name. Yep. Well, unfortunately, a lot of these guys were incredible men. They knew the sport, but they weren't great business guys. Yep. So a lot of those gyms started to really fold. And the UFC gym name, just in general gym, not the actual gym, but the overall of how we incorporate fighters, people, and fitness all together started to die. And Adam had a vision that was like, you know what? Let's try something different. He went and started picking up all of these 24-hour fitnesses that went under during the C time.
Oh, and that was a C pivot?
Yes. Wow. And believe me, nobody believed in Adam. Adam is a groundbreaking man in that way. Like nobody wanted to. The corporate did not want to do UFC Fits at all. And he was like, look, this is how we should change the model. Let's look at it like an LVCA. Let's look at it like a Lifetime, like an EOS, because I think that by nature, and I like that model better for people to come into fitness. I do not want, sometimes sparring gets a little ugly, and I just don't think that's for the regular people to see. But I do want them to know that they can be a part of the fitness and the UFC lifestyle. So Adam went full force, and he called me one day and he was like, Jess, Middleburg's off the table, but I have something better for you. And at that point, because it was kind of heartbreaking, I was like, man, lost my gallbladder, lost a fight. Like now I'm losing my gym. Yeah. Like what's going to happen now? Right. And then I think for all of us, all of our UFC Fit Gym, like this couldn't come at a better time for us all emotionally. You know what I mean? And be like, wow, we have a new home. We can give back to people. And this company believes in us. So, at any rate, I went over there. They started demoing it, and I was like, "Wow, this is going to be our gym. Yeah. This is going to be our home. This place is huge. Huge. It's incredible, and it's in a great area, a nice area that I think that we can make. It's by a high school, so there's a lot of community impact that we can make in that way. So." At any rate, they were like, Jess, we want to give you a portion of this gym and make you a part of it, make you a partial owner and keep you involved in the UFC Fit name. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And they're not working with many other fighters, so I feel flattered. Me and Forrest are the last two fighters that they're actually working with on the UFC Fit and UFC gym name. So I'm like, yeah.
Nice. And before, I guess, Monday when we were at UFC Fit, I had no idea you were this person, and I'm like so excited to have met you because it's like you're one of my people.
Yay, that's good.
So it's really cool. Now you guys are actually having your grand opening on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Yes. Super excited.
Tomorrow.
Finally.
Tomorrow.
So everyone get out tomorrow.
Silverado Ranch, Maryland Parkway.
Yep.
Yes.
So come on out. We'll be there.
Yes, that's great. So back to believe. I believe that word is a thought. It's a thought that builds a mindset that you frame how you live. So, but I wonder what believe means to you, because now I know it's part of your brand, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so what does that word mean to you, and how does it impact your life?
Man, I believe started, so I had my first fight 6, 7, 8. So June 7th of 2008, right? So that was my very first fight I'd ever taken as an amateur in Ohio. And at that time, women's MMA was basically non-existent. Right. So, and I've always been the kind of person that's like, what's the hardest thing I could do? I'm going to do that. And I'm going to show everyone how good I am at it. Yeah. So like, I enjoyed the challenge, and God, I thank God every day that I am where I am now because, I never gave up on myself because of that sense of belief. Like I had a belief that I could really change the world. And I ended up winning my first fight, and at that point, me and my dad were in a reconciling stage of our life, and he was just like, "Kid, I believe, I believe so much in you. I can't believe you're doing this." Because at first, when I said like I'm gonna fight, they're like, "All right," like I was kind of that person. Like sports have always been my thing, but I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna do trumpet." Like, "Oh, I'm gonna try modeling." Modeling's not good for me. I don't want to be that cute. You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, I want to get dirty." Like, so I found that, and I was like, I believe. And I'm like, I believe I'm going to be able to be in the UFC one day. Like, and this was, again, before the UFC even had women, was even, the household name that they were.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to do this. And then that's like when someone's like, you're really onto something. And it's like, I had noticed there was other brands like that, like feel good brands, like Life is Good. And I was like, that's what I believe is. Because I believe is what I'm saying to myself, but I believe can be given to anybody. Because all I believe is that sense of control of yourself and like that connection. Like you're looking at yourself and you're going, I believe, like I believe. I believe in myself. Like I believe I can do this. I believe I can get that job. I believe that I can drink that water. I believe that I can eat these clean foods. I believe I can lose this weight. I believe I can get that person to go on a date with me. Like it's just a great way to exercise your mind and teach yourself, we do all these training mechanisms, right? We squat. You know what I mean? We go, okay, I got to get my water down, but we don't mentally train ourselves the way that like our narrative sometimes in our own heads is so negative and wrong. And I'm the worst. Like during some of my most biggest losses in life have been when the narrative in my brain was so wrong. Like it was, I was not being nice to myself and I lost that connection so that when I got challenged, I gave myself an out to be like, oh, well, I didn't really believe, or, oh, I didn't, I gave myself an out. in that way. I'd almost like to say like, oh, it was okay, but it's not okay. You know what I mean? If I had better self-belief in myself, I probably could have found better answers in that.
I wanted to ask you about on my not deep dive, but shallow dive into your fight history. I stumbled across one of your losses with Valentina.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And then I researched that you came back from that and won the next fight.
Yeah.
It's like us humans out here in the world, we can battle with belief and fear and doubt, but no one's watching, no one's judging us, no one's asking us what happened, but you have to do it in the limelight. And to come back from that kind of a loss and have the belief in yourself to do it is like next level.
Yeah, I think that by nature, we look at like NFL teams, NBA teams, and I want UFC to have that kind of look. I want people to say, hey, look, when they lose, they lose. They're going to come back and win their next fight because I'm a huge Browns fan. So we obviously know how good the Browns did this past year. But for years, they, were considered nobodies. And, their sense of the community and the franchise that Cleveland has had behind them, they never stop believing. And I want people to know that some days we all have bad days. Some days you're not on your best, behavior, on your best skill set. I cannot let that stop me from going to the next thing, right? So again, football team, like football has a game every week. If they thought about losing last week, they're going to lose next week, and then they're going to lose the next week, and then they're going to lose the next week. And I think by nature, just because fighting is such an individualized sport, sometimes we asphyxiate so much on a win-loss and not the gains that we had made through that. That I think that by nature, I'm constantly trying to change like the narrative. A lot of fighters and even how fans and other people look at us, like, oh, they're just a loser. Like, so should the Browns just up and quit being a football team because they lost their last game? No, they go back, they fix it, and they work towards it. Like, sometimes losses means wins, and sometimes wins bring a loss. Like, that's just the level of athleticism in sports. So for me, I don't let other people dictate that anymore, because I did. When I was fighting at a heavier weight class, which was bantamweight, because that was all that they had at the time, I took some losses from bigger girls than me. And at that time, like, I let society control the narrative in my head that I was like, man, nobody probably likes me anyways. Like, and then I lost myself. Like, I lost my sense of femininity. I lost like my ability to believe in myself. I lost the ability to impact others. And that's just like a level of mental magnitude I have now that like nobody can nobody can get inside there. Like, nobody can get inside that because I control that now. And the people that do deserve to get in there worked hard to get inside that psyche to manipulate it. So I think that we live in a socially driven world now that we need that. You know what I mean? We need that sense of belief of, like, hey, I'm not going to believe that comment, or hey, I'm not going to believe that just because I lost my last fight, it means I'm going to lose my next one, So it's that understanding and that wave of having that mentality is so important.
Yeah. What I understand that to be is it's called a growth mindset. So there's no failure, there's only learning. So, and that's exactly what you're saying. You're better from that loss, and you proved it, and you're still proving it every day.
Yep.
Brad, I know you've had some challenges in your life, and you have some amazing accomplishments like your AI wellness. Talk to me about your experience with that word belief.
Yeah, well, language is a predictor of performance. And when you look at anyone successful, no matter what they're doing, it's because of the start, it's going on what's up in between their head. So if you and like when I hear the word belief, it's like, there's like, you can feel it where no matter what you're going to do, you know that no matter what happens, you're going to get it done. You're going to accomplish it. Doesn't matter what comes your way, doesn't matter who you're fighting or what you're going up against, you're going to do it. And so when I look at myself, for instance, with, I got diabetes when I was 5 years old. And so the first, I would say like 10, 15 years of my life, it was like battling who I am as a person, because, looking at how, my parents were phenomenal, but seeing how they reacted to low blood sugar and high blood sugar, I'm now thinking that I'm broken and everything's my fault. So, but I truly believe that. So it's like, it can be such a catalyst and really direct you into the outcomes that you're going to have. Because I always believe, yes, there's luck, but I truly don't believe in luck. I truly believe that you have control over your outcomes. And yes, anything can happen, but it's like, who are you going to be in that moment when things are happening? Are you going to let it control you? Or are you going to truly believe that it doesn't matter what happens, you're going to be yourself no matter what the situation? So, coming out of that and getting into, going to school and coming out of that, even going through something really personal, like with going through a divorce, really seeing like who I am as a person. And it's like, that is when, and that's why I love when you're saying there's no such thing as a failure. You're only learning from it, because when you truly hit rock bottom, you learn how to climb back up. And it all starts with truly believing in who you are. And that could be anything, it really is in your control to be who you want to be, because like I said, things are always happening, but it's like, how are you relating to what's going on? How are you relating to yourself?
So these are all great statements and topics, but are you able to put that in something tangible for the people that are going to be watching this? Or like, what do you have a practice that helps you fight off that negative story that sometimes creeps in? Like, I know the other side of belief is fear and doubt. How do you keep yourself believing?
The mirror, I mean, we forget to use the mirror outside of like, oh, does this outfit look good on me? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the mirror. It's sitting there and having that same conversation. Like, there are times that I've had some of the deepest conversations where I'm looking at myself and like, I'm like, do I really believe? Like, am I giving that same sense of strength back? Am I really actually doing it? And I think that that's one of the things. And even if you have like a little motivation board where every day you write a positive quote, on the mirror, or you subscribe to that app that as soon as you wake up and your alarm goes off and it sends you something that puts you in, again, that narrative in your head that you control, not letting the demons creep in, not letting the self-doubt, creep in that way. So again, the mirror for me is again, it's not a tool of the way that I look, but it's the way that I make sure that I'm having an actual conversation with myself. Because we're talking right now, right? And I can see your expression, and I can tell that I could tell you believe in me, and I could tell that you're enjoying it. Like, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, do I really believe? And then each day as like, I don't really know if I believe in myself, but every day that you look yourself in the mirror and you say, I believe, on day 10, you're going to go, oh man, I believe, like, and then that's when the next stage comes along, and whatever it is, maybe being that you've just trying to get that sense of belief to be like, I'm going to text that person, or I'm going to do that hard run today. And you've coached yourself. You've brought yourself up to that level. So yes, use the mirror, have good conversations with yourselves. And if you want to look how pretty or, how cute your hair looks, do that too.
Brad, do you have any stories around the other side of believing and not thinking you're good enough, or like some of the amazing things you've recently accomplished? Anything like doubt, like, can I do this?
Yeah, when I went on tour with Dan, I learned a lot. It was like, it was funny. That was some of the highest point in my life, but also the lowest point in my life, because we're touring around the world, and the amount of stress that I went through along with the rest of the band, it was absolutely brutal. And I'm missing home, and I'm laying there in bed like 2, 3 in the morning, some nights crying my eyes out because of people also just reaching out and like asking for help with this and that, and just trying to manage everything. I felt like my world was falling apart.
The best of times, the worst of times.
Yeah, it was the biggest oxymoron I've ever been through. So coming out of that, that was, I would say, like, you know, when we talk about the power of believing, I did not believe in myself. I did not believe in what I was doing. I did not believe in what was going on. And it felt like my world was just crumbling.
You can go through the motions, you know, sometimes, especially when you're such a good fitness person, you just go through the motions and you don't realize that.
And it's so true, because it's like, I could imagine, like, especially for you, it's like, I'm sure people look at you and they're like, she is like perfect in the sense.
Yeah, like everything is always great.
Exactly. And it's like we are all human. And it's like, you know, and just with, you know, being a coach for so long, it's like people come up and look to get training. They look at us like these perfect robots. And I'm like, no, I bleed red. I have a heart just like you. And it's huge. It's like practice. It's practice. It's like practice. And a lot of what I do now is, you know, at the end of the day, I go through and like, I try to look at what I've accomplished, because we always get caught in the negative. It's like, oh, I messed up on this, I messed up on that. But it's like, no, I did great on this. Even if it's like, I talked to that person or I got that workout in. And then also realizing what you're grateful for, because again, it's like this negative drift that just loves to pull us along. And like, we're caught on that drift with no oar. So we have to create that oar. And then just truly, I love to just truly appreciate the suffering too, because I believe you cannot achieve greatness without suffering. You have to go through the grind to get there. And it's like learning to appreciate that instead of looking at it as like, this sucks. Yeah, it does, but it's like you're learning, you're growing. So
Interesting. So back to I Believe, is that a brand? Is it a charity? Is it a movement? Like, what are you trying to do with that? Or is there any big picture for where that's going?
Oh, you know, it's actually it's always been my t-shirt. So let's start with that. Like, I Believe was always the t-shirt that, like, if you came to a Jessica I fight, you were wearing a Jessica I Believe t-shirt. And it's been for years. Like, if you wanted to rep me, you had I Believe across your chest and Jessica I on your back. So it's always kind of been like that. I've never gotten to focus as much fully on making it a brand like I want to, but it is out there. Everybody knows, you know, that's my tagline, like, what follows me, I believe, is always there. But I do hope to make it that one day. You know what I mean? And I think that it's never had its perfect timing or fit. And I do think that now with UFC Fit, I can use that as a way to branch off on so many levels, but teach people what I believe really is. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a training mechanism for yourself to create a better narrative in your own head, to coach yourself in that way, and to let you even be like, sometimes, you know, when you have a bad narrative, like, you can't do your job training me if I'm not being receptive. You know what I mean? That alone is a whole nother practice. And I believe I'm going to be receptive. I'm going to receive information, and I'm going to give information. And even if that information doesn't make me happy, right, or it might be critical of me, I should be able to receive it properly, you know, absolutely. And in that way. So I think that with the UFC Fit new brand that we're doing, I think I Believe is going to fit in great, you know, right there. And, you know, I'm still an unmarried woman, so I is still my last name. So as long as I'm an I will always, you know, rep the I Believe. I love it. In that way. So, and that's always what it's been. It was always EYE Believe instead of just, you know, I Believe, because it did start with me. But, you know, when you say I, you know, it can be you. You know what I mean? Right. I believe in myself. Right. That's the play on my last name.
I love it. And I think now that I know you, we're friends, I think it's a huge platform to really develop. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. However, I was really also impressed by what you did on Monday. So each episode, I have my guest co-host take me through 3 of their favorite exercises, usually a upper body, a core, and a lower body. Let's see what Jessica did first over at UFC Fit in Silverado.
I'm actually going to show you an Olympic lift that you would actually see in our Olympic Games that will be coming up. But it's a very full body lift that actually allows you to engage all muscles in your body. So it's definitely something I think everyone should throw into their normal routine, but it's crucial in a fight routine.
Awesome. Well, let's get to it.
Let's go. Okay, first and foremost, whenever I get up to the bar, would you like to hear how to do it?
Of course.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna get up there, and there's multiple different ways to do the cling. You can do them from the ground, but just to start, I like to go over to the squat racks. I get just below my knees, okay? Just so that when I go to pick that up, and again, we don't have to go real wide grip on this. We go almost right outside of our knees from right here. So we can almost use the bar and see these little marks, these little notches, to use it to grab with our hands. We wanna get a real tight grip right here so we get a hold of the bar. We're gonna bring it right up our legs. We almost want it to run all the way up our legs. Every single time we pick it up, we wanna make sure it comes up to our legs. I'm gonna step away from the squat rack. I'm gonna get a slight RDL in my legs and pull the bar up. As I pull the bar up, I let my fingers relax. I don't wanna hold tight on the bar. It's really stressful on your elbows. And then I release, come back. Again, I'm gonna RDL it, which we can just sit back like we're sitting into a chair behind us. And as we do that, we pull it up. Another crucial thing to know if you're doing it right is if your shirt slightly lifts. That means you're keeping the bar close to your body and you're getting underneath of your weight.
How does that movement help you in your fights?
Well, with your fight, it allows you to use your full body muscle. So we're getting full body conditioning, but most of all, I use it for the punch and the sprawl. So every time you're throwing your punch, you're engaging your hip. So if you're not throwing your hip, your punch isn't gonna come out fast enough. So that speed, this is a speed and strength exercise that will make your punch faster and stronger.
Love it, love it. Awesome, awesome. That was cool.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from this guy. I've learned a lot from you already. So those nuances are really why I like to go into the gym with my guest host and see like the little tidbits, like the shirt coming up. Like no one really teaches that, but that's a little thing that you kind of know you're doing it right.
Yeah, you know, I chose that workout, that particular, the cling, so much as like we're kind of in this new age of like fitness where everyone's seeing like a lot of the CrossFit exercises and people are just, you know, not thinking about what they're actually doing and why they're doing it. So I wanted to choose something that was applicable to fitness, something that everyone's seeing, but also knowing like the little cue tips, you know, like keeping the bar close to you. You know, you don't see people talk that like that on social media. They just do it, you know. Or if your shirt lifts up just ever so lightly, that means the bar stayed close to you.
Right.
That's important. Like these are little key things, and how I like to learn, particularly like I need very small little cues that keep my mind like very, very sharp in that way. If not, I might use just my upper body to pull it up instead of actually using my hips and using my legs to do it.
Right, right. And Brad, that area that we were there in at UFC Fit, tell me about that area.
So that's going to be our functional area where we're really focusing on more of your strength and conditioning aspects of obviously fitness. So when we look at the performance modalities, power, speed, agility, quickness, reaction time, balance, that is where a lot of that's going to be focused on. And we have one of our high intensity conditioning classes in there called our duck class, which is going to be working on all of that. So when I saw you pick the clean, I was so happy to see that. Like I was literally on the inside of, because it's like, you know, it's as people, we need power. Like, I don't care how old you are, how young you are, we need power. So I was very happy to see that.
And it matches so well because like you said, the cling, and then like, so one of our workouts, like at the PI, I would cling and then I would have a sled push, right? So having the turf right there, you're training it. You're training, you know, your explosive power, your, you know, speed, you're training all that together, and it's bundled in such a perfect, beautiful way.
Yeah. And I consider myself a gym connoisseur. I've been to gyms all over the world, and in the major markets, LA, New York, and that functional area with the staircase and the hill and the sleds and the racks, it's like, woohoo!
I know, it's so fun.
Yeah, I mean, as well, I've been in everywhere. I can honestly say that we have some of the best equipment, some of the best layout. Like this gym is, I don't even want to call it's a facility. It is a performance facility for everyone.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm excited to be able to bring like people to have that ability
Yes,
like that.
absolutely.
Because I feel like even like when I've gone to some of the other gyms like that, like they don't run their functioning area together
Correct.
in that way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like the turf is on the other side. I love how they laid out that model so that you can be able to have both, because you can do your entire workout in that room.
And there's
you never
even
have to leave there. And then you go to
Absolutely.
other parts of the facility and you never have to leave that part of the gym for yourself to be able to get your workout in.
Yeah, there's even heavy bags. There's going to be 12 heavy bags in that area too. So it's like you could do anything. You could do a couple different stations. You're doing cleans, sled push, 1-2 combos on the bag, whatever it is. Like this facility, just in this 4,000 or 5,000 square foot area, has everything, and that's a fraction of the gym facility.
Absolutely love it, and I joined. So
Yes, you
people
did.
join. It's worth it. So let's see what the next exercise Jessica took us through. So Jessica, what's the next exercise you got for me?
So it's a mixture between a snatch and a long cycle kettlebell press. It just depends on what you have at home or what you're able to use. So I have a dumbbell and a kettlebell for this next exercise.
Awesome.
So if we're using the kettlebell, the way that I like to do when I come up to my kettlebell to do any type of snatching or pressing exercise, I always make a triangle first before I pick up the kettlebell, okay? So that I don't put too much stress on my back when I pick it up. Because then I can break the handle, what we would call, and pull the kettlebell back. So from here, I'm able to engage my core, but also pull the kettlebell back properly. I clean it up. We're using the same exercise we just did, and I press it above my head. Then I relax. Now, if I add a little bit more speed, I'm going to engage a little bit more cardio and hip hinge with this one. The kettlebell, the way that it's built, it will allow you to use the center of gravity in multiple different directions. That's why it's built different than the dumbbell. If I have to use a dumbbell,
Right.
my engagement's going to be a little bit different. I'm actually going to suitcase pick it up. Okay, so when I come down to my side, I actually use my hand like a really strong fist to engage my core so I don't get all off balance when I'm picking it up. That's how you hurt your back.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a real strong fist just like if I was fighting. I'm going to come down, pick up my weight, bring it to the middle. Same thing, and I'll just bring it here. I don't have to turn the hip over or turn my hand over as much as I do with the kettlebell. Press it above my head, come back down. Again, how fast you go will engage more cardio, put more time and tension under the muscle.
So do you like to do your cardio with weights, or do you do both, or what's your jam with this kind of exercise?
I guess it just depends on where I'm at in my training aspect. If I want to use this as one of my strength training programs as well as using it as cardio, I might add a little bit more weight. Like these is about 20 pounds. So if I really want to make it a strength exercise where I'm lowering the cardio but still getting my heart rate up, I'm going to choose a higher weight. But if I'm looking to go for 10 or 15 minutes, I'll choose a lightweight, use that so that I keep my body moving the entire time. It simulates almost a round to me.
Awesome. Perfect. Love it. I'm just like drooling here. I'm looking at all that equipment back there in the background. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait
It's
to
like
get
going
in
into
there.
a clothing store. Like you're like, oh, I can't wait to look at all this, like touch everything or like look at it all. You
Yeah.
know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So love that exercise as well. Another one that you had some nuances, the creating the triangle. I didn't expect a fighter to know so much about fitness and proper the way to pick up a weight and to protect themselves. That was really cool.
I've been so fortunate to travel around the world, meet so many different types of instructors, and I've always taken a little bit from somebody. Information is recycled, right? So I always try to make it a little bit my own, and then I would hear people say things, or, I'm very fortunate with Bo Sandoval over at the UFC Performance Institute, and he worked with the Olympic team, worked with multiple collegiate athletes, and over the past 2 years of working with him, he's given me all these little like fun tools and things to say just to normal, individuals that, again, how to pick up a kettlebell properly. People's, the whole reason they don't go over it is because nobody really gave them like a little bit of an insight on how to use it. So I always try to use the little terms and help give like little tiny descriptive things for everybody. Because again, I need them because I'm a brute sometimes too. And I'll just pick the kettlebell up and then I'm like, oh, my back, it hurts. Oh man, my back. So these little things keep not only, the individuals watching us safe, but, helping make sure the next time that they give someone advice, that they give the correct advice because they'll use my words.
Right.
And that's important.
Right. Brad, you're an expert trainer as well. What did you think about, were you impressed about how?
So there's something to obviously appreciate when someone can perform, an exercise when they're a master of it. Like when you look at your perfect example, Olympic weightlifters, they've done tens of thousands of reps. There's another thing when you have someone being able to teach the exercise properly. And that's what I truly appreciated with what you were, like everything you were saying. And I also, not too long ago, I just got certified for my Strong First Level 1 kettlebell certification that was created by Pavel himself. So where I'm going with this, that certification is like top tier when it comes to kettlebells. And there was a lot of what you were pointing out there that were like on point. And I was like, okay. Like, I was in the back. I was like, phenomenal.
This girl knows her stuff.
And this was like your second exercise. I was like, okay, pulls another amazing exercise out. So I was so happy to see that. And when you look at with kettlebell training, when done properly, especially with fighting, there's a positive correlation. Looking at grip strength, power, using your hips. Finishing with the drive. So it was fantastic.
Yeah. Again. I have to work up to taking a class with you for sure. I might look fit, but it's a different beast. I know, but I definitely want to. You're going to teach there, right?
Yes, absolutely. I really want to do. I love one-on-one training because I think that's really like that's my bee's knees, and that way I like working one-on-one people. So again, I can help teach you things. Sometimes and don't get me wrong, I'm teaching lots of group classes there on Wednesdays in the morning and at night. But the individual time I can spend with someone and really help mold them makes a lot of help. And again, you get these little cute things that you can really progress someone very, very fast. And again, I'm always trying to, even too, like where I know it's hard to tap into my mental psyche, like I'm trying to tap into people's mental psyche that I get them to, like, again, challenge themselves, have little key things that they remember when I'm not around. And, oh yeah, this is what Jess said, how to pick up the kettlebell. How do I keep myself safe? So I definitely can't wait to train with you. I'll show you some fun stuff.
Well, actually, she did show me one thing, and we'll see what she did for core. This last exercise is for core, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a core-based exercise, but again, I really like engaging a little bit of cardio, but allowing us to use our upper body a little bit more since we were just finishing up with that last one. So this one is like a plank. So basically, there's multiple ways to start out into like planking positions. We're gonna do the push-up plank position where our hands are gonna come underneath our shoulders. I think first and foremost, most people really screw up plankings. That's why they're not very good at it, okay? They don't put themselves in a good position to succeed. So I wanna make sure my hand is right underneath of my shoulder. I'm gonna push myself all the way up, keeping my back flat. So we don't want a sagging hip, or we don't want our hips super high. We want to almost keep like a glass of water. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 10 each hand cross touches. I'm able to engage my core, learning how to disproportion my weight so that I don't get off balance. Because sometimes what can happen is people will turn. We don't want our hips to turn. We want to keep them nice and strong and keeping our body under full tension. This is a little bit more advanced. If you're struggling with this, just go down into a push-up position and just hold.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Have you ever tried those?
No.
You should try it.
Let me see. Let me see. There goes my phone again.
So, no moving your hips. Arms all the way up. No, so hips down a little bit. There we go. And we're going to touch each shoulder 10 times. Yep, don't move your hips. Don't move these hips. Just let the arms come up.
Shit.
There you go. Nice and stable in that core. Hold it. Nice.
I feel myself wanting to move my hips.
Stabilize that core. Let your upper body do the work and hold you up. Yes, there you go. You're getting better.
No joke. I'm like, that's it. That's no joke.
It's more than your average plank.
I didn't do 10 each side. I cheated. So my problem is, and I don't do those, and I should do those, is my shoulder joint is not, I felt, that's where I felt the stress. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow. So let me see if I can move my body so I can help my shoulder. Mm-hmm. So that's a weakness that I noticed just from that little.
Yeah, it's crazy. Your core is your core and your gut, right? Like I like your digestive system, right? Mm-hmm. Like I am crazy about any core-based exercise, right? We have to turn our core on so that the rest of our body will, engage, right? So the more our core is turned on, we can start fixing these little injuries we have all over the rest of our body. That's our posterior chain. This is the most important part of our entire body that we forget to train, right? It's the least trained thing. And everyone's like, oh, I have to do sit-ups. Like that exercise will give you more than a sit-up will. Not only will it engage your core, but it's gonna force you to be, almost use a little bit more of your agility. Use your brain connection to your body and say, hey, look, I'm not moving my hips. My arms are just gonna move. And I'm gonna stabilize my core in that way. So it was a different one. It's not your typical, sit up and stuff like that. And it does put stress on the shoulder because you're still holding yourself up.
Right. Like next move is a single arm push-up. Wow.
I literally had to do, I swear that day after I left and I had to go work out, I had to do that exact one, but I had to do it with the plank position, but I had to hold one arm completely up. So I couldn't move my hip, but I had to do it on just one arm. And I was like, Bo, I literally made someone do like a similar exercise. So don't worry. I got my own treatment later on that day.
Good. Yeah, Brad, in on an earlier show, you showed me another plank nuance that was life-changing as well. And, again, talking about exercises that you think are going to work your abs, like the squat works your abs probably more than any sit-up that you can do. Mm-hmm. So people, don't skip your squats.
Yeah.
So along the path of getting fit at UFC Fit or in your world, I want to talk about weight and specifically cutting weight and the drama around that. And how do you think that can translate to individuals coming into UFC Fit, the challenges?
Oh man, I think everybody has a battle with the scale. Like we get these, mind, like this is what we want to see. And when we don't see that number, it's defeating. I've been making weight for 15 years now. And unfortunately, I had my first missed weight last year. And in that, I was going, hey, I was doing all the work. I was eating all the right foods. I was doing everything that I was being coached to do, but I was still like something, wasn't right. And unfortunately, I was dealing with a health issue and, come to find out, I'm allergic to a lot of foods. I lost my gallbladder and found out that I have I have irritable bowel syndrome in a different way. And I guess I'd never really realized that, when they said that I was a kid, like, oh, you have that. And, that can change, like people, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, it's a real thing. Don't just act like it doesn't exist, number one, because that can affect the scale, right? And then we eat foods that make us feel anxious. Again, it goes back down to like when I say our gut, our gut, our digestive system is our brain. It does everything. So we train that the most. That's why I like finishing with core and I like starting with core. Because again, we turn on our core, we turn on our digestive, we turn on our second brain here. in that way. So I think a lot of time what happens with people is that they get so mad at the scale, they get so discouraged by it, but they're not realizing what they're eating and they're not holding themselves accountable. Like before, I've ate eggs for years. I grew up, on a farm, and eggs were always something I had ate. I never did whey proteins in that way. And milk always made me feel funny. I'm allergic to eggs and dairy. Like,
oh God.
Deathly. And I had always kind of knew it, but it wasn't until I was always like, wow, it's eggs. They're the best protein. I should be eating it. And come to find out, I am deathly allergic to them. So I would eat them every morning before I went and worked out, my morning workouts. And I would always get like these headaches, or I'd feel some kind of way, or I would be like, oh, the scale's not moving as fast, or oh, I'm a little gutty. Like, how can abs are made in the kitchen? As much as people forget, like they really do come from there, and that's from the food. So for me, I think that sometimes our biggest battles are not only in the fitness room, but by the foods that we're eating, and we don't know. There's not enough knowledge out there to understand like what is a FODMAP, fermentable foods. Like, what are these things? Like, we don't really know. Like, we're just given food and people say, oh, this is healthy, or this is organic. And you just eat it. And then we forget, like, we are each our own individual. We each are our own person. And I, for years, was like, oh, they'd be like, oh, say maybe a person, was a vegan. And I'd be like, oh, that's stupid. You need your proteins. And come to find out, some people are allergic to proteins. You know what I mean? And I never really understood that. And I feel like, life gave me my own humble pie and was like, well, here's your gallbladder. We're taking it from you. So now you have a reason to understand. So it's actually funny. I call myself a megan. A lot of time I'm a meat vegan since I don't do dairy and cheese, but I still eat meats. Nice. So I call myself a megan. But to go to that, now that I have this better relationship with the foods and how they're actually affecting my body, the scale looks the way that I want it to. And when I look in the mirror, even if the scale isn't exactly what I want, I'm like, wow, my shoulders are developing faster. That means not only am I doing this workout, but like I'm not eating the right foods, or I'm eating foods that all of my body's energy isn't going to build my muscle. It's going to digest this food. So I'm tired, I'm moody, I'm cranky. The scale's not moving. Now I'm seeing that and I'm like, oh my God, like all these things are coming together and I'm not, I'm not understanding that. So everybody think about the food you're eating, go to Amazon, buy the food sensitivity test. It'll be the best $100 you're probably ever going to spend, because again, we go back to know actually what our body says is good, right? Because again, we go, oh, the sun's burning me, I better put sunscreen on. But we don't think like, oh, I got this headache. Like, what did I eat today? Oh, my workout sucks. What did I eat today? What didn't I eat today?
Right.
In that way. So, and I think all of us as society have good and bad relationships with food. So that if we fix our relationship with food, we fix our relationship with the scale, and then we fix our relationship with the way that we think, a number should be. If you're walking around at 150 and you like the way you feel and your clothes fit good, who cares about that number, right? Because you're eating the right foods, Right. And if the number becomes something you want to see, then we'll talk weight cut. We'll get you in the sauna. We'll teach you how to cut some water weight.
The interesting thing on my shallow dive into your YouTube stuff was the when you were talking about how people didn't ask you how you were when you didn't cut.
Yeah, they just assumed I didn't care.
Right.
And it's like, how can you do that to somebody?
Right.
It would be like, how could I assume that like you show up every day to your workout, and then the day you don't show up, I'm gonna be like, he doesn't even care.
Right.
He doesn't care about himself. And instead, we have society have gotten so negative that we have such a negative narrative. Like, oh, they didn't try, they didn't care. And again, I try not to, because people are like, oh, Jess, like you didn't hold yourself accountable. Oh, I held myself accountable. I lost 30% of my money that day. And, so don't think for a second that I wanted to give out 30% of my income.
Right.
I cared deeply. I didn't know what I was dealing with because I didn't understand it. Again, I was losing my gallbladder. An organ was dying in my body. And again, I can get like all medical termini, but it takes well over a year for your gallbladder to die. I think it's been dying for a while, and I had struggled with some stuff. And again, point in case, my last fight, I looked incredible with my weight cut. My weight cut was fine. And that alone was a win for me. You know what I mean? Like I hated that I didn't win the actual fight, and I see where I had screwed up on the actual fight game, but I was so happy with the way that my body and my weight cut went. That was a win for me, because again, people were like, oh, she doesn't care. Like, let's not assume people don't care, right? We can make that assumption after we've dug a little bit, right? Like let's number one, let's look at the track record. Let's look at collected days. Like what's going on with that person first before we instantly go, oh, you don't care. She just didn't care. She just came. Who wants to come to a scale 6 pounds over? Like, I knew what that was going to make me look like, you know what I mean? Like, and thank God it happened, because I finally found out I was really, really sick. I went and did another fight and still didn't, struggled through that weight cut till, I made 126.25 and still lost another 30% of my purse, right? And I was like, something isn't right with me. And again, looking at myself on the scale that day, I literally want to like give kind of people a little bit of like a gut check, in the sense of like, geez, are we really not there for each other? Like, you want to promote me publicly on my successes and my misses, but you don't have enough nerve to just say, hey girl, you all right? You ain't never miss weight. Like, you look bad. Like, if you could tell me I look good, like, tell me I look bad. I'm a receptive human being in that way. Like, look at me. And that was a whole nother sense of, again, sense of belief. I lost my belief in myself at that point, that after that loss, I was like, something's not right. I need to like have a better relationship with myself. You know what I mean? Because I started blaming myself, being like, man, am I just not a good fighter anymore? Like, am I not able to do this? But I wasn't asking the right questions. I wasn't going, Jess, you're getting these headaches. Your gut, you're like, the bathroom visits are getting to double digits. Like, something is wrong, and nobody wants to talk about that kind of stuff. And it's not easy to talk about it, but I was literally dying inside. And I next time when I see some of these fighters miss weight, there was a girl who passed out on the scale. My heart broke for her. Like, I literally, and it'd be a female or a guy, like, let's ask, and again, people forget that, sometimes it does happen. We have to find out why it's happening. You know what I mean? Is it a matter? Yeah. Some of these guys, they think like, oh, I can eat donuts and I'll just cut the weight later. I'm not. And the world that follows me knows that. So that was really hard to see that. It makes me ask other people if they're okay now. So I'll be that change, and maybe I'll inspire someone else to do it.
Compassion first. I love it. I love it. Brad, what's your experience with that kind of stuff, weight? And I know I'm at the point in my career, in my life, that I'm eating for health and longevity. You had to start doing that at 5.
But weight has always been an issue for me in my mind. When I was late teens, I got huge into bodybuilding. That's because the main reason was because I didn't like how I looked in the mirror. And someone else might look at me and be like, oh, you look fine. And I look in the mirror and I'm like, you look like a piece of, whatever, fill in the blank. So that got me big into like severe dieting. And, to the point where my breakfast was egg whites, plain oatmeal. A couple hours later, it was like broccoli, fish. Like, when you hear the most boring bodybuilding diet, that was it for me.
Right.
And you speak of like having bad relationship with food. I would go down the grocery aisles and look at the food that I can't eat and be like, you won't do it. Like, go ahead. I would literally mentally abuse myself. Like, just like, that's how extreme I was, because the only thing I cared about was what the number was on the scale, and like wanting to look at what society thought was perfect. And fortunately, I'm now much more, mature and grew up from that. But there's still times where I go through that version where it's like, now for me, it's not so much like what the number says. And I really can appreciate like, okay, how do I look and feel? And even with talking about gut biome, like, that is huge. And I wish more people would realize how important that is, because if we're trying to build muscle or we're trying to burn fat, if your gut biome is not where it needs to be, your body is already more stressed out, so we're going to produce more inflammation. That scale is going to be heavier than what it needs to be. And do you really think your body's going to want to build muscle if your gut is trying to pull protein from the muscle to build and repair your organs? No, it's not. So it has to start from the gut. I don't care what anyone says. It has to start from the kitchen.
It's true.
And you're exactly right. If you're allergic to foods or if you're sensitive to foods, food sensitivity is huge because then you're putting your body under less stress. So I went through my own version, even with being a diabetic, my body's always under stress. You know, certain foods cause my blood sugar to go way up. You think my body wants to burn fat when I'm pumping so much insulin into my body to bring it back down? It's not. And that's like how everyone should really take a look at, like, what are you putting into your body? And like, yeah, like weight on the scale just tells you how you weigh as a whole. It doesn't tell you how much fat you have, how much muscle you have, how much hair or skin you have. It's a shame that we are puppets or a slave to what that number says on the scale.
The last, that was amazing, by the way. The last thing I want to touch on before we end is recovery, because you guys have this cool bomb area at UFC Fit, the recovery area, and I want to know a little bit more about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so recovery, I mean, it's again like prehab, rehab, like it all runs together, right? Like it's, again, a system works because it flows together. You know what I mean? Like you have to have 1 + 1 = 2. You can't just have 1 and then equals 2. It doesn't work that way. I love that the new age of life now, it seems like, and I don't know where it came from. Someone might say it's CrossFit. Someone might say it's just, you know, ways of the time, but people are now excited about learning it, right? Like they have hypervolt guns, we have cryotherapy, we have these massage tables that, you know, are hydrojets and do these amazing things to help our body recover efficiently, like, and again, help build muscle, right? So we think about all the scientific facts, right? Like if we, you know, have a heavy, you know, workout and there's a lot of blood in our muscles, we got to get that blood out of there. So the massaging, the cryo, the stretching, all of that's built to make that progress faster, you know, and it's important. And I'm so glad that they have that now at the facility, because it's nice, you know, for my next camp, you know, in July when I fight here in Vegas, I get to have the same recovery at, you know, where normal people can use what a professional athlete uses at the gym. So now not only do I have it at the UFC Fit gym, and I can do it and show others how I'm a professional athlete, how I'm using it, how it helps me, but how as a regular person it'll help them. But these are things that professionals are using. So regular people get to use it and feel like, wow, like I'm really getting to train like a, you know, a real professional, or I'm treating myself, you know, the same way. So it's exciting to see all that in one facility. I'm actually excited to try our cryo today. I'm going to see if I can come over with you when we leave.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Freeze.
Yes, it's like oxymoron. You're like, wait a minute. So I'm sore, so I want to be cold. Wait a minute, sore, cold doesn't really sound good. But as soon as you get out of that thing, it's like it's just such a refreshing.
Yeah. And you have a pool. I mean, it's an amazing facility. Tell us a little bit more about the opening on the 10th, is
Tomorrow,
it?
Yep,
Okay.
April 10th. So 8 to 8, so 8 in the morning, 8 into the evening, and we're going to be having a bunch of different vendors. So we want to build a community. And a lot of what Jessica was saying, you know, she wants to have a special connection with the fans or create an environment to really, you know, bring people into this world. And we want to be a home for people. We're not just a gym. We want people to come here. We want to change your life. So we're having a bunch of different vendors with, you know, small businesses, you know, from the area to set up shop and really show who they are. We're going to have a bunch of food trucks. I mean, let's be real. Who doesn't love food trucks? You got to have food. And we're going to be having a bunch of different classes, like 30-minute classes that day to really show you what we're all about. So from start to finish, it's going to be a huge party, you know, lots of things going on. So it's going to be fun.
The UFC does it up. Like they have good parties. So I encourage everybody to come out. Like they always seem to like have the best music, have the best stuff out. So like, I know I'm excited about it. And I know that everyone else should be there and be excited about just the fun interaction.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to do anything, autographs or things like that?
Yeah, I'll be there just for everybody. Like I am there to anybody's, you know, if like we're there and you want to walk into the fitness room and you're like, hey, Jess, can you show me this one thing? Like I'm going to be there just to be there with everybody. They can look at me as Jessica Ey, the UFC fighter, Jessica I, one of the coaches, Jessica I, one of the gym colleagues like you. I'm just a normal person here with you guys today and ready to help anybody find their next journey or their next step.
I am excited. I can't wait. I will be there. Thank you both so much for your time. This was great. I can't wait to get this out and let people hear this because I think you all need to hear it. Thank you. Like, share, review, subscribe. And until next time, Fit Fam, I'm out.